So we have returned for Season 4, Episode 2 of Snowpiercer, named The Sting of Survival. Having just watched the first episode, I'm really looking forward to how this episode will develop on what we already know. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the second episode of Snowpiercer Season 4. In true Snowpiercer fashion, we open with a monologue from one of our characters, Audrey, and get a little bit of backstory on the train 3 months after the departure from Big Alice. We can tell Ben, Melanie, and some others are slowly starting to lose hope of any communication between the two, possibly fearing the worst for their friends and family. We return to where we left off last episode. Till, while being taken through the train on the way to the engine, is warned that she either puts the phone down or gets shot. She goes for this as an attempt to communicate with Melanie and tell her to lock the engine. However, she was already told to put that down or get shot, and she still just went for it. Like, he did warn her, did she not believe him? This just seemed a bit off. The Admiral, which for now will be what I call him, threatens to shoot Ben if they don't allow him access to the engine. Then Melanie opens the door. I feel like this is a little bit out of character from Melanie, but I feel like it shows her love for Ben. At the end of the last season, he was basically like, well, you either meet me halfway or this isn't going to work. And I feel like this shows that. So either it's good writing or it's extremely bad writing. So far, we know that the Admiral is on board to change the direction of the train, turning onto a new track. Apparently, this track wasn't there 3 months ago, which seems a little crazy that they built an entire track in 3 months, but okay. Melanie and Ben escape a room by shooting one of our IPKF, and out of his neck comes a very strange black smoke almost. As we'll learn later in the episode, there's a little tube there that disconnected, but what this is and what this means for these characters, we're not sure yet. They then shoot a hole in a train car, attempting to force Melanie to surrender. They did say International Peacekeeping Force, right? Or did I mishear that? Because what they're doing here just seems like the exact opposite. I also just want to really quickly mention how stupid I found this. So, this train was designed to survive absolute disaster, and yet the outer hull can be breached by a handgun. The gun itself looks like an M9, so a 9mm bullet did that. That just seems like a massive design flaw to me. The concept is cool and the tension it creates is well done. It just seems to me they could have used a slightly bigger bullet to do that. However, all is well because Melanie and Ben come up with a plan to open the doors of the breached car by doing some engineering stuff. It leads to quite a cool scene from the trailer where Melanie's outside and almost gets hit by a tunnel, but in the end she is successful. The train then arrives at its destination, and Melanie is greeted by an old friend named Nima. As expected, there's a bunker full of survivors. I think this is one of the biggest complaints with this show and with this concept in general. Like, why didn't Wilford just build a bunker? However, I feel like it makes sense from his perspective. He's an eccentric billionaire, he goes for this option. But of course, in this world, there probably are bunkers of people all over the place. Turns out this bunker was working on a solution to the CW7. For anyone who doesn't remember back to the first season, the CW7 is what caused the freeze in the first place, and it turns out they've figured it out. There are other groups of people, including New Eden, that are living outside, and they need Snowpiercer to send their chemical around the world to kill the CW7 still in the atmosphere. We skip to 9 months later, so basically present day. Till and Audrey are setting up the little car for Till to go to New Eden. I believe they got word that the Admiral is planning to ambush New Eden, however Till is stopped so Audrey goes in her place. This is a pretty big juxtaposition between the joined Admiral and Snowpiercer that we saw versus 9 months later. I'm looking forward to what happened in these 9 months to cause this difference. So far though, I'm very glad that most of the trailer footage has been used. This means that most of the trailer, besides small segments, were taken from the first few episodes. As for the planned ambush on New Eden, it isn't made clear why. However, based on the fact that all they did was take Leighton's child and leave, likely means that that was all they were after. I believe this may be due to the cold resistance the child was given at birth. However, why they need this with their ability to warm the earth, I'm not sure, unless their plan has failed. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 2, with Leighton basically going, I'm out, I gotta go find my kid. This was actually a really good episode. It had everything that I enjoy from this show, some drama, action, tension. It was all done very well, and I'm excited to see what the next episode brings. One complaint with this episode is I feel like the characters were just making decisions to move the story forward. Some of these decisions just simply seemed out of character. And on top of that, with the hull breached by a 9mm, that seemed very weird as well. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you back in a week for the next episode.